What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, here as always with my co-hosts, Josh and John Luke. But more importantly, today we are joined by a special guest. It is Jordan Richards, a.k.a. Chapoy J. Rich on Twitter. How's it going, man?
What up, Jordan?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. That was like the energy. I love it. I love it. I feel like I already have to match it, but yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. This should be a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard you were coming on, I got so hyped. I was like, boom, this is going to be it. Like, I know Jay and I have sent each other your videos too many times to count. Like, as soon as you drop that lighting video, he was like, yo, you got to check this out. And then your fantasy content on top of that is top notch. So
yeah, you got the new show, Black Box. Just checked out that episode.
Yeah, Black Box show. If you haven't heard of it, it's blowing up the internet.
It's
so
fantastic.
You have to go check it out.
It's fantastic. Well, the first
Very
one was
cool.
on the Ball family.
Yeah, we talked about the Ball family, we talked about Top Shot, we talked about our top 5 GOATs, and it should be every Tuesday. So every Tuesday, it should be coming out. So I'd look for it there. You can find it on the Destination Devy podcast feed and as well on YouTube on Destination Devy YouTube channel. So check it out. It's a new show, especially with all the draft stuff. It's nice to talk about something other than football every now and then. So I think people will like it.
I always prefer content like that, honestly. I feel like if it's just football, I'm like, yeah, your opinions are good. But like as soon as you get into like the details of someone, how someone feels about stuff, it's fun.
Yeah. We're so deep in football right now, and we have been for so long. It's hard to get a break from that, but it's nice to do the show for sure.
It's funny that that day that I watched you guys' episode, I think Prize Picks got like a cameo from LeVar Ball. And talk about energy, man. Like that guy, we were watching, I was just like, damn, this guy is like so much energy. I love
He's like the energy icon. He's a
personality though. Fast. Like he legitimately is
a
personality. That's what he molded himself to be. But you have to respect him for it because of all the success he's had individually and for his boys. Like how can you
how can you hate on the man whenever look at the success he's gotten? He gotten like 3 dudes into the NBA. Like he's like you and Ray said, you're like, he's smart. And I think about the same thing with like the Kardashians type of thing where people are like, oh, they're so dumb. It's like, you can't be that successful and be dumb. Like they're playing it or whatever.
It's
like,
a combination. Yeah. It's maybe it's a bit of an act, but there's method to that madness. 100%.
Method to madness for sure.
Have you guys watched the David Letterman show on Netflix? I forget what it's called. Have you watched the one with Kim K?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting, and I like you gain a little bit more insight into like what she's thinking. She talks a bit about Kanye and his politics.
He's
as
like
well,
in the crowd with like a hoodie on.
Yeah,
like
he's
sitting next to normal people.
But it's a really interesting episode, and like JL said, you get a little bit more insight into like the mind of Kim K, and like these are marketing geniuses. These guys, these personalities. It's not just they got lucky and they're rich. There's some real stuff going on there. We got off track. We're talking about the Kardashians, but we're glad to be here today, guys. We're going to be playing tiers. We're going to be tiering Dynasty tight ends and Pixar movies, the 2 most important topics for this Thursday. But before we do that, Craig, welcome in. We're glad to have you here. Sully said he's having a brutal day and he needs this. Well, we need you in here. So we're glad you're here, man.
Glad to see you, Sully.
Josh is in the comments and on the show over there talking to.
Come on, Josh.
I hated
Get your head in the game.
Before the show, like he was having a bad
Get your head out of your ass, Josh.
We're playing tiers today. How are we supposed to improve his mentality when we're playing tiers? It pisses people off.
Yeah. This game exists just to tear down mentalities.
And Craig, on that note, said tiers equals tiers. People get upset, and Jordan's mad because in our graphic, it doesn't have Carolina in the S tier.
Because they don't belong there, bro.
I don't think there's any definition. There's no tier list we could make where Carolina would belong in the S tier. I'm trying to think of a single
maybe like average team
with the best running back in the NFL. Maybe then
if we take it out of the football context, maybe we could we could go to like barbecue or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't Carolina have like that mustard based sauce? Isn't that like
I'm
the
not
North?
a big fan of it either.
Carolina
barbecue.
Give me
I like
the
a sweeter, spicier barbecue.
It's sweeter
and spicy.
Scott's in here, excited that you're on here.
What's up,
Jay
Scott?
Rich.
What up, Scott?
And Jordan saying definitely the best Jordan to come on the show.
Facts.
Probably.
Jay agreeing with him, said easily. And Jordan coming in. Yeah, we've been teaming up with outfits this week. I don't know what it is.
That?
But today it's polos versus black shirts.
Wow. Josh did have a black shirt on before It
was a dark gray shirt. All right, sir. Dark
Switch
gray.
sides.
And now I'm joking. But he mentioned the Masters. I was like, oh, am I not wearing a polo today? I always wear a polo. So I threw on my polo.
And Jay correcting us. He says, no, it's vinegar or ketchup-based barbecue and NC. Get it right. Okay. If it's the vinegar-based sauce, give that to me all day. The ketchup-based barbecue sauce is nasty. You've had ketchup.
What's like the default? Thanks. Like the default barbecue sauce, that is trash. I don't know what that is.
I think it's tomato based. I think it's like a ketchup.
You know what I'm talking about? Just like you go to the store and get like default barbecue sauce,
like Sweet Baby Ray's or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, not a fan. I like the like super liquidy vinegar stuff, like the kind of bitter. That's my favorite barbecue sauce. Jordan, what about you? Where do you lie on the barbecue scale? We ask the important questions.
Barbecue scale.
I don't know. I think the weird thing about me is my sauce game has changed a lot. Like I used to not be into spicy stuff, but now I'd want a spicy barbecue sauce. Absolutely. Like something with a lot of heat is definitely where my head to be at now.
Yes.
Oh, I'm with you, man. It happened in the past like 2-3 years where all of a sudden I don't even want to eat a meal if there's not some.
You can't live in Texas and not have.
I'm down here in South Texas. My heat scale shifted entirely when I moved to San Antonio. They play a different game down here. They don't mess around.
I'm right there with you though. My palate has changed. I am all about if it's not spicy, or I'm either just like sustaining myself, getting in calories just to live life, or it's gonna be spicy. All right.
The
Josh
first
has
time,
no enjoyment unless it's spicy. This is work.
That's why his takes are so spicy. The first time I ever went to Mexico, I was there for work, and I was at the Panasonic factory down there. And we went to the cafeteria for lunch, and at the end of the checkout aisle, they had like this bottle of sauce, right? And so I grabbed it and just started squirting it all over my food. And like one of the guys who worked like grabbed me on the shoulder, was like, "No!" And I was like, "No, I'm good." I like spicy food. We're good. And I took like one bite. I'm sitting at the table in a cafeteria full of like hundreds of workers, and I started pouring sweat. Like, so I'm the one white dude in the cafeteria who's like literally crying, dripping sweat, sweating through my shirt.
They were laughing their
ass off. They were cracking up. I had like 6 different people come up to me and like offer me napkins to wipe my face off. Like it was
Sir,
just
would you like a towel? Starts throwing towels at you.
I love how like the one guy was like, they're probably all laughing at you, like, no, let him do it. And the one guy's like, no.
He tried to do this. He tried to save.
You can't die down here. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny though.
It's not my fault, officer. I swear to God, I tried to warn him.
And Simon's over there still just like digging into it, like suffering, just
crying.
He doesn't want to look like an idiot.
He's dedicated now, right?
I was trying to prove like I could do it. Yeah, I didn't want to be like the quitter gringo who wouldn't eat the food. I wanted to like finish the meal.
Just the crying gringo.
I was just the crying gringo. That's exactly right. Jordan says when Carolina gets Kyle Pitts, you will rethink the graphic. We're probably going to talk about Kyle Pitts a little bit today. And so he said, not sure how I wasn't following Jordan before that error has been resolved. Man, that was a critical error. I'm glad you resolved that. Any of you that are not following Jordan, make sure you go do it right now at your boy Jay Rich. One of the best follows on Twitter in the fantasy space. You don't want to be missing out.
I like to think so I appreciate that.
And humble.
It's not all fantasy with me, but it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check my feed.
Perfect. Guys, I said we go and get started. We got a lot to get through. We may not get through all of these tight ends today, but we got 20 of them in there. It is actually the top 19 from Fantasy Pros, and then I didn't want to not put Kyle Pitts in there. So I swapped out Blake Jarwin for Kyle Pitts, even though the Fantasy Pros Dynasty rankings had Pitts a little bit lower. We might do a part 2 next week, but this is the list we're starting with today, and we'll see how many we can get through before moving on to Pixar movies. I'm going to move you up top. Jordan, you are the guest. You can sit up there and I'll get covered by any comments.
You look great up there.
So how we generally do this is if we get a majority on one tier, the player automatically goes in that tier. If there's a tie, then we'll go to the audience or we will compromise. Like if 2 people say 1 and 2 people say 3, we'll throw them in 2. We'll figure it out. I think the best way to start is probably, I think there's at least one obvious S tier player. Let's go ahead top tier.
Let's put the 2 up there that we all know. Come on, Kelsey and Kim.
Are you guys feeling a third in there though?
I am.
Consensus top 3 personally. Like I think it's pretty straightforward.
This is discussion to be had.
That's you guys. That's just where I'm at. I throw Waller in there pretty easily.
Real fast.
Yeah.
All 4 of us agree that these 2 belong in tier 1, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this is where the conversation starts in my mind. I personally put Darren Waller in tier 2.
No,
but go ahead, guys. Go ahead. I would put him in a tier below these guys.
I'm gonna jump in. Darren Waller's probably my favorite player in the entire NFL, and I'm gonna try not to let that bias me here. But as well, like from a volume perspective, he's getting the volume that Travis Kelce's getting, and that's even with the new young wide receivers on their team. Nelson Aguilar's gone now. I know they play different positions, like they're not stealing targets from each other, but I don't see his volume going anywhere. And he had elite production with that volume 2 years in a row, and he's only 28. Know what I mean? From a tight end perspective, he's got at least 3 more productive years left in fantasy for me. And if I don't look more than 3 years ahead. Know what I mean? In Dynasty, some people are going to value the 20-year-old way more than the 28-year-old. But if they're going to be productive for the next 3 years, age goes out the window for me. I put Waller up there in tier 1.
Yeah, completely agree. Like for me, it's just about the volume, and you can chase touchdowns if you want with another tight end who definitely isn't tier 1. But Waller, I think when you talk about a guy who gets 120 targets, he's tier 1 for me. That's where it starts. And I would even put someone else in tier 1, but I know that those 3 for sure. I know those 3 for sure.
He's like, I have 3, and then he's just seeing if we were going to be okay with that. And then he's like, oh, I also have a 4th.
Well, there's just some guys that can get it done, and there's some guys that just can't quite. And there's a guy that I think in the draft that could probably get it done as a tier 1 tight end. It just, it just depends on how you feel. It depends on how you feel. But can we agree on Waller being tier 1? I think. I mean, I don't know. We still got to hear from you two guys. What's going on? But I think Waller is, volume machine, especially.
I'm on your side.
I'm fine putting him in tier 1, by the way. I personally would put him in my second tier. I don't know. I think if we did a startup draft, you do 100 startup drafts, you're going to see Waller behind these two in 95% of them. And Waller could go multiple rounds behind both of these guys in a lot of them. But I'm fine putting him in tier 1.
I think we got to put Irv Smith. If we put Waller, we got to put Irv Smith.
Like obviously.
Really.
No, we are not letting Irv Smith come into tier 1. Sorry, Scottfish. Love you, but no.
JL, where do you land on this? Because I know Josh said he would put him in tier 2. Jordan and I say tier 1. Where are you putting him?
I think if this is my personal tier list, I would probably have a distinction between the two. And I completely agree with what Jordan is saying and what you're saying, Simon. I think the distinction for me is just like how many times we've seen it, right? And so like these other two guys to me
have you really seen it more from Kittle?
I would completely disagree. Kittle hasn't done so much that he's Kelce. Like if we're gonna talk about splitting up Kittle and Waller, I think you have to put Kelce in a tier by himself because Kelce legitimately is in a tier by himself.
No. I would draft Kittle over Kelce.
Maybe it's because I've seen him across multiple seasons.
Yeah, you can do
even
that.
Though they haven't been full
that's
seasons.
A bad choice, right? Like I get you want to play the youth with Kittle, but he's not out producing Kelce. Like he's just not going to do it. You're just playing the youth game.
Right.
No, so I do think that
that's where I stand with that.
I do think he's an elite talent. I do think that he's comparable to Kelce. If not right now, then going forward. And so the same logic can apply to Waller, right? Like if Waller gives us another season, another 2 seasons, like he has, then I think he absolutely belongs in tier 1.
I mean, we've seen it 2 years in a row now, right? Like this is 2 years in a row of that elite level of production with the Raiders. Even adding Bryan Edwards, Henry Ruggs, and Nelson Aguilar last year, he continued being the volume machine. Like I'm bought into Waller. I bought in last year, JL. Last year I was too.
I love Waller.
He deserved to be drafted up there with Kittle last year. And it
was a good move.
I'm not backing off. I'm not backing off.
In terms of value, I love getting Waller in dynasty drafts. By the way, throw
him in tier 1. Let's do it.
Throw him in tier 1.
There we go.
Kittle, though, whenever he's on the field, he's an elite producer, no doubt, and so is Darren Waller. So
tight end 19 with 8 games last season. That's insane.
Barely 8 games. Like he was whatever.
We got a bunch of people saying Waller's tier 1. Then Jordan gave us a Waller stat. Since getting the start, he's averaging 98 receptions, 1,150 yards, and 6 TDs per season.
And Sully said Waller 7 or 8 TDs last year, right?
Yeah. Behind those two anymore. Yeah. I completely agree. And Jordan, I liked what you said that like if we're going to make a distinction, it would be between Kelce and Kittle for me. I agree with that. I know Josh disagrees. And the point I was going to be like, if we did put Waller in tier 2, that would have to be the end of tier 2 for me. It would have to be a one tight end tier, like because there's no one else I'm putting in that same.
I would agree with that. I think there's definitely a tier break behind Waller.
Okay.
Not including Pitts. I don't know where I
now, Jordan, you foreshadowed to another tight end that you would throw in tier 1. So let's hear it, and then we can talk about that, see if we agree with you.
I get why people don't want to put Pitts in tier 1, but when you talk about a tight end who's going to get, easy top 10 draft capital, we haven't seen that since TJ Hawkinson. So where do you want to put a guy who could have easily led the SEC in touchdowns, is a complete mismatch no matter where you have him on the field? Like, I just think with most tight ends, they don't get the draft capital to warrant the targets. But in the case of Kyle Pitts, that's going to happen. So as much as we may want to kind of keep him in tier 2, maybe put him in tier 3, I could see him easily being ahead of Mark Andrews, easily being on pace with a guy like Waller, Kittle, Kelsey towards the end of the season. Maybe not at the beginning, but I think, by midseason, we're going to want him as a tier 1 guy. So why aren't we projecting him there now when we know his projected draft capital is going to be so high already?
Josh, JL, what are your thoughts on that?
No doubt. No, hey, I love Kyle Pitts. Oh man, he is a sexy prospect. He's going to be in tier 2 for me though. I could not, draft him anywhere near these other 3 guys. So, back to the point before, I probably would want to put Waller almost in his own tier. But I think Pitts belongs firmly in tier 2, just because we don't know landing spot. We've seen a lot of other tight ends with very high draft capital that we've hyped up, maybe not as quite as much as Kyle Pitts, but Evan Ingram, for instance, let's see where he lands in this. But I bet a lot of people would say, tier 2 when he came out of the NFL, and possibly tier 1 the next year. And just not seeing him in the NFL yet scares me. So tier 2.
Yeah, that risk definitely sets him a little bit apart for me. But in terms of like physical ability, I completely agree with Jordan. I think that we'll likely have him in tier 1 next season.
I agree.
But that risk definitely worries me, because we just seen teams screw that up. Like Washington football team, how many players have they messed up? Teams can do that.
In my eyes, I hear what you're saying, Jordan, but I think I would put him above Mark Andrews already. Like, I think that's where I'm standing. It's been a weird decision, but I'm not putting him above Hawkinson for me yet, based on what I've already seen some from Hawk in the NFL that's given me reason to believe. I'm hoping that there's going to be a little more volume in that offense for him next year. But I think Hawkinson and Pitts are probably in a similar tier for me, and I can't put them in tier 1, at least not for me. So I'm going to say tier 2 as well. Sounds like that's 3 tier 2s, 1 tier 1. I'm sorry.
Jordan's about to hop back on.
It's okay.
He's about to hop on next season and just.
I told you.
He's going to come to a victory lap on us.
Yeah.
Well, you can be the first. You can come on and just spend 10 minutes mocking us for not putting Pitts in tier 1.
Get a monologue.
That sounds perfect.
We'll block it off for you.
Man, Dr. Tommy Gun coming in here. Scary if Pitts goes to Dallas. That would be kind of scary, wouldn't it? No, it would be kind of terrifying.
But
not enough targets,
then
though.
Where's the targets? Yeah, the targets will be tough to come by. Where if you see him in Carolina, you see him, in some of the other landing spots, he could at least see the volume. Yeah, but they stink. Like they're terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
They're going to be throwing the ball 550 plus times, right? That's the problem.
Jordan, compared to Dallas, it's a much better landing spot for Pitts.
Jordan Vanek says, I think I will tier 1 him in Atlanta, Carolina, or Miami. I like tier 1 as a verb. I'm going to tier 1 him.
Tier 1 him. Honestly, if he lands in a spot like that, I'd be much more interested.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we know he's probably going top 10. So are there teams from that 6 to 10 range where you'd put him tier 1? I think, you're maybe at 50%, 40% of those teams,
which is
a high in tier 1, right? Which is pretty good. Yeah. And so to stay ahead of all these guys that are afraid to take them tier 1 or afraid to take them near those tier 1 guys or ahead of Andrews or ahead of, Goddard, Fant, whoever you have there. That's where I think, there's going to be a movement. I'm just maybe a little bit early, which I understand for sure.
And I think even at tier, even right there at tier 2, I don't think people are even that high on him yet. I think a lot of people are way more risky. I know the hype on Twitter.
You ask, people are high on him.
Startup ADP, right? He's not going, in the 3rd round.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And if he gets drafted by any team, he is not going before the 4th round, even in a startup draft.
So I think
there's no way.
Jordan, I think you still get tons of value. I plan on getting a lot of value on Kyle Pitts, hopefully in drafts this year.
There's value to be had. That's why I love him.
You're not getting it in rookie drafts though. He's gonna go out. You're not getting any value on him.
He's gonna be overdrafted a little bit in rookie drafts.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
cool. Maybe at your home league, your high school league.
Maybe.
Idiot friends.
Unless you got any Florida fans in there. Sorry, excuse me. Is there anyone else that you guys think we should consider in these top tiers, or do you just want to start going down the list from the top at this point? I say we start going down the list. No one responded.
I'm ready to go on, yeah.
We got Mark Andrews right here. I've already said a little bit about what I think about him. Josh knows how I feel. I've talked about it a lot on the show, but the volume's just not there for me in that offense, and that doesn't look like it's going to change significantly anytime soon because Lamar Jackson is the path forward for the Baltimore Ravens. He's honestly a tier below some other guys for me. Mark Andrews is a tier 3 tight end for me, and I know that's probably harsh.
I thought you were going to go way lower.
He's tier 3 for me. No, he's uber talented. Know what I mean? I don't want to take that away from him. And in Dynasty, talent matters. Situation can change, but this isn't like a fluid situation. It seems pretty sticky. Talent alone's putting him in tier 3 for me, but that's where I land. What about you guys?
I don't think that. I mean, I've said this before on the stream. I don't think that Lamar is necessarily a problem. I think once they get some, they build out the team to make it a little bit more balanced. They get some more pass catching options there. That it's gonna open up and Mark Andrews is not going to be in as terrible of a situation as we perceive like this past season. I don't think that even though they're going forward with Lamar, I don't think like that necessarily means we're going to have this low pass volume indefinitely. And so I would probably put him in tier 2 up there with Pitts. But I understand the tier 3. I thought you were going to go tier 5 or tier 6, Simon. On the way you were talking, it's like, oh man.
No, I've risen on him a little bit recently. I think I was too harsh because what you're saying, I'm not a Lamar. I was too harsh on Lamar Jackson this past year is what I was realizing is he was a much better passer than I gave him credit for. So now I'm not discrediting Lamar as a passer. I'm discrediting the Baltimore Ravens offense for passing or receiving options. So I think that's why he's moved up for me is I've risen on Lamar as a passer. But
and they haven't done much to add a ton of
nothing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's the issue. They haven't done anything.
Watkins,
yeah,
right?
That's part of the equation.
Yeah. So that narrative definitely has diminished a little bit throughout this offseason.
Jordan, what about you? Where are you throwing Andrews?
I think I'd have to put him in tier 2. I get the tier 3 argument, but I don't really like. You could look at my receipts of Mark Andrews. I don't like him. I thought he was overrated coming into this past season, and I think somewhat proven right. He finished tight end 4, 12.2 points per game. That's it's pretty good for tight end standards, but I don't really believe in him, the talent. I think he's very overrated. I think that he's extremely touchdown dependent. Again, the volume probably won't be there. If they get a real receiving weapon, is that going to take away targets from him? Will he maintain his target share? We don't really know. And especially right now, he currently is the number 1 option. Teams are taking him away with linebackers, with safeties, potentially even with cornerbacks sometimes because there's literally nobody else they have to worry about. Hollywood Brown, for whatever reason, he's not quite producing, whether it's they can't get him the ball, he can't get open. I think it's a combination of the two. Yeah. But I want to put him in tier 3, but tight end is just so bad. Like, unless you want to put Pitts and Hawkinson in their own tier, I still think Andrews deserves to be in there until he proves to me that he's not good enough and he's in tier 3. Or more guys develop like maybe a Fant, a Goddard, whoever, to where the tier 2 is a little bit more established. I think Andrews is still going to be there for me right now.
That's honestly, that's a good kind of like hole in my argument, right? Because it's like if they get more, I'm assuming if they get more passing options, that it's going to open him up and he's going to get more targets. But Lamar's going to pass more. But it's also could be true that they're going to take away his touchdown upside. So I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point, Jordan.
Sully saying Andrew's snap counts are still way too low combined with his lack of targets. I would put him in the back of tier 3. I land somewhere on there. Josh, what about you? We've got a tier 3 and 2 tier 2s, it sounds like.
I was surprised Jordan put Mark Andrews in tier 2, actually. I was expecting him to put him in tier 3. But yeah, no, I think Mark Andrews belongs in tier 2. For everything you said, they don't have many receiving options, but look at Darren Waller. I think it's just like, they have options, sure, but like Waller's their main target, and that's why he's so fantasy relevant. Mark Andrews isn't going to get targets like Darren Waller, but he's going to be a focus of the passing game, which is very important for a tight end.
And Jordan, whenever you said, unless you want to put Pitts and Hawk in a tier by themselves, I almost jumped in and was like, that's exactly what I want to do.
Which I'm fine with, right? Like I'm totally cool with that. I just think that Andrews has done enough that he deserves to be in tier 2, but don't get me wrong, he'd be the first one to drop down. Like he just would, because I could easily see Fant, like I said, Fant, Goddard, potentially Hunter Henry, and Jonnu, but we don't know what's going to happen in any of those situations. At least I know that Andrews is probably going to see 90 targets, and I can't say that for some of these other guys. So
you're right.
I'm kind of leaning a bit with the perceived volume, even if, in startup drafts, I probably wouldn't take him and opt for someone who's a little bit lower. But like I said, back end of tier 2, that's where I'd probably have him.
Yeah, and Jay agrees with you there. Jay says back end of tier 2.
Can we segue that into TJ Hawkinson? Because I think he's another one who I would probably consider tier 2, but I think has a inverse problem, right? Like we've seen him do pretty well, but his QB is going to be different this year. His offense is not going to be good. And so can we expect the same type of production? Is he still going to be tier 2?
Yeah, I think so. It's not like the Detroit offense has been like moving very well over the past couple seasons anyways, and he's still found success. Now, don't get me wrong, Jared Goff is a downgrade to Matthew Stafford, but Jared Goff has made Tyler Higbee relevant whenever he was in LA. I know it was a short stretch, but like he's familiar with using the tight end. I think TJ Hawkinson's going to be fine there, especially with Kenny G gone now. Like, sorry, excuse me. He's going to have more. He's going to have more to eat over there.
More to eat.
I think so too. I think that's the main point, is that you see some of these guys leaving, like not just Golladay, but Marvin Jones as well. That's a lot of potential opportunity to be thrown TJ Hawkinson's way. Like, I don't want to go all the way to vacated targets because I don't want Peter Howard coming after me. But it is going to be some opportunity there. The offense is going to look completely different. They may take a wide receiver, at which point that just, I think, helps Hawkinson out because he won't be the only guy in town. And I think he's going to probably see, 100 targets fairly easily. Because Goff can't really throw that well downfield. At least he hasn't been showing that he can. So you need guys, in the middle of the field, short options, and Hawkinson's great after the catch. So I think he's a great option in tier 2 for fantasy owners.
Agree. You guys all agree tier 2? Can we move on? Some of these guys we probably are just going to agree on, and we can blitz through. That's the end of tier 2 for me. Is there anyone else you guys would put in tier 2?
No. Nope. That's it.
Nope. I wouldn't.
No love for Cole Kmet in here. I know I would not, but some people are going to be.
Hell no. No.
Absolutely not.
The next person. Never mind. I won't get into it yet.
You're good. Let's look at the next person on the list. We got Evan Ingram. Josh alluded to him earlier as someone with that high draft capital that hasn't quite panned out. Jordan, what are you doing with Evan Ingram? Where is he landing on this tier list for you for dynasty tight ends?
I'd probably put him in tier 4. I don't think like tier 4 or 5, probably. I wouldn't put him in my tier 3. I would happily put some other guys I like more, have higher upside. I don't know. We've seen it from Ingram. He's been good. He's seen opportunity. I just don't really believe in it. Like, I just don't think that his opportunity is going to get any larger than it currently is. I think he was one of 5 or 6 tight ends. I don't even think it was that many. I think maybe one of 4 tight ends that saw over 100 targets. But even with that, it's like, his catch percentage is like somewhere around like 56% or 60%. It's not very high. Yeah. He wasn't scoring touchdowns.
Receiving touchdown. One.
Yeah. So it's like, where is the upside here? It's just, there's just not a whole lot. Kenny G is going to be soaking up red zone targets, soaking up targets, period. I just don't think it's going to get any better for him. I think there's a few guys I like more, and I'd put him probably tier 4 or 5.
And Saquon will probably be taking a lot of those short passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's hard for me to decide tier 4 or 5 now before we've got a little bit more of it built out. So maybe this wasn't like the smartest one to go to next, but I think he belongs in tier 4 or 5, depending on how the next 2 tiers break down. I'll say 5 for now.
Put him in 5.
I think 5 is
make him earn it.
We'll move him if we need. Come on,
Josh, are you all right with that?
Better.
I think he's probably a little bit higher than 5. I think once we start putting these guys in order, you're gonna realize like we don't have anyone in tier 3 and 4.
You're right.
Well, it's possible.
We'll put him there
in 5 for now. We'll adjust.
We'll adjust if need to. Zach Ertz. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead of you guys. Jail. What do you think about Zach
Ingram?
Well, I think that's pretty rude. I think Zach Ertz is. Yeah, that's it. I don't. I'm probably tiered.
Hey!
Zach
Ertz had a great career, right?
He did. No disrespect to the man.
This isn't best career. I like Zach.
Past tense. Hey, I like
in a great
that.
spot.
Past tense.
He could land in a really great spot and be relevant. Maybe
like,
Patriots already have 2 tight ends. They don't need another one.
And have like a Jason Witten type season, that's the resurgence that I'm expecting if we get one from Zach Ertz.
It'll be relevant on fantasy Twitter, and that's about it.
Oh yeah,
I put him in the. I'm not drafting Zach Ertz in any dynasty startup. I don't care what the value. Like I can't imagine a point where I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm drafting him. There's even as you get later, I'll take one of those high upside wide receivers or running backs in the range where Zach Ertz is going. I would put him in tier 8 for dynasty. Maybe that's harsh.
Go all the way to tier 8. Damn.
I would put him
rude.
In the bottom. Is that too harsh? Am I being too rude to Zach Ertz? What do you guys think? Jordan?
He's close. I'd say give him 7. Give him 7. A little bit of respect.
For the career he's had.
Yeah.
The life he's had.
Josh, what do you think? You've been emoting over there the whole time.
I don't know where to throw him in exactly. I mean, like 2 years ago, he was like scoring a lot of fantasy points. And last year, obviously the whole Eagles offense was a shit show. I mean, like no one played well, right? So I don't know. He could wind up in the right spot and actually be a very, very, very startable tight end. He's probably somewhere around tier 6. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell at this point.
Dale, where are you putting him? So we got a 7, a 6, and 8.
I think 7 is where I'd fall.
Well, you know what? With a 6 and 8 and 2 7s, he lands firmly in 7 for the time being. Guys,
have we considered that he could be in tier poo poo?
Yeah, maybe I'll rename one of these tiers prior to next week when we do the next batch of them, and we'll throw them in tier poo poo. 1 second, guys. I wanted to zoom in. Is this not like the douchiest headshot ever from Mike Gesicki?
That's like just picturing like freaking like sleeper. I look at that all the time, and I'm like, God damn it!
Tell me this guy did not just pull up to high school in his like 2003 Corvette.
And then right next to him, Dallas Goedert looks like he just rolled out of bed. Like he was running late for pitcher day, and he just like, oh shit, gotta run. And like got to school and like sat in front of the camera, and they did pitcher day real quick. Hasn't washed his hair in 3 days. Like,
I love how no one said, hey, we can reshoot this. He's like, he just runs off like, oh, done, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we should no, that would be too mean. We can't do that. I was gonna say we should tier the NFL players based on their headshots on fantasy.
I think that would be great.
That would be funny, but it might get a little bit too mean, a little bit too judgy. Okay, guys, we've got Noah Fant up next.
We can only do that if we let other people tier us based off of our looks.
Okay, deal. I'm in. I got thick skin, kind of. I was actually, I don't. I've really struggled. I've really struggled with body image. Jay says, "Give me Ertz over Ingram." I feel like that's a hot take right there.
Okay. I will happily do that.
He's a Giants fan, so it's like weird, like how usually like those go the opposite way. But he just hates Ingram so much.
I feel like that's how a lot of Giants fans are, though. They're like the most critical. Yeah, they hate Ingram.
Yeah, it's the NFC East, right?
Next, Simon.
Noah Fant. Jordan, where are you going with this? I think like a good benchmark is he going above Ingram, below Ingram, or in the Ingram range for you?
Well above Ingram. I put him in tier 3. Easy. Tier People 3. Need to remember that he was tight end 1 coming into, I believe it was the 2019 draft class. He was ahead of TJ Hawkinson, who people didn't even really know a whole lot about. Yeah. Again, I understand the target competition. I understand the target competition in Denver, but for me, Fant is a guy who really could explode as a tight end option. And I think people aren't really realizing just how good he really is and how great of a production profile he had coming out of college. Still got the first round draft capital. Like Fant is an excellent tight end. Don't be scared off by who's there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Didn't Fant and him go to the same school? Fant and Hawkinson?
Yeah, as I said, but Fant was the guy. Like it was him and Albert O coming into the season as the top two tight ends. But then Hawkinson was like, oh, I'm still here. And he starts blocking, pancaking people and catching the ball, run after the catch. And Fant kind of had a bit of a down year that year. And that was one of the reasons why they kind of swapped in the pre-draft process. But Fant is still like production profile monster as far as the analytics go. And he's already had 2 really good years. And, sophomore slump, comeback, third-year breakout. He's just right on the trajectory to be a great tight end in the NFL.
With no QB, right? Like, that's the other thing, too.
That,
as soon as that offense gets moving, like, that's when we'll see the real Noah Fant.
I agree. And I think my strategy this year, I think for tight ends didn't really pan out if I missed on Waller because I took a lot of – I would take 2 of these, like, year 2 tight ends near the end of the draft. I took a lot of the combination between Fant, Jonnu, Hawk, and Gesicki, and I would take 2 of them in hopes that one of them would pan out. I think that strategy coming into this next year could be fire. Like, you could get one of those guys with the big breakout season. I'm in agreement with you. I would be somewhere between tier 3 and 4, but I do think the talent puts him into tier 3. So I'll agree with you there. JL, what do you think?
He's 3 for me.
Josh?
Absolutely 3.
There we go.
He's edging too.
Yeah, and he's probably like the most solid of the 3s in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think he's going to be extremely consistent. Like as much as we knock Drew Lock, he gets the ball to Fant pretty much no matter who's on the field. And I get Sutton was out, but I just don't think it's going to matter. He needs to get the ball out quick, and Fant's going to be his guy.
Completely agreed. Craig tiered us on the show today. He said tier 1 Jay Rich, tier 2 Josh, tier 3 Simon.
I agree with tier 1. Tier 2
Love
it. It's accurate, but it hurts.
You know what? I'll take tier 3. You could have easily thrown me down in tier 8.
Could have been a tier poo-poo. Tier poo-poo. I'm happy.
Matt said I watched a video like this earlier. This guy had Robert Tonyan in the top tier.
Nice.
You know what? Let's go ahead and talk about Tonyan then. So he's 26 years old, just came off a career year. Is this the new normal for Robert Tonyan? Or was this an anomaly of a year for him? Where are we throwing Tonyan? Josh, let's come to you first on this one.
Where are we throwing Tonyan? Tonyan's a tough one.
That dude parties. Look at that hair.
He is a good-looking man.
His uncle's in like a bike gang. I just feel like that's 100% true fact.
He looks like he belongs in an Old Spice commercial permanently. Like I just feel like that's where Tonyan should live, is in the world of Old Spice commercials. Sorry, go ahead. I keep getting distracted by these pictures.
You know, I'm just like trying to figure out these tiers, and like, I feel like Tonyan belongs kind of right there with Evan Ingram, probably. Personally,
Jordan, I saw you react a little bit to that. Let's hear your opinion.
So the problem with Robert Tonyan is that he was so efficient, but is there a world where he can actually see more targets and maybe score less touchdowns, but still be, a tier 3, tier 4 tight end? Because he only saw 59 targets last year, which is crazy because that's so few when you see some of these guys getting 70, 80. I think Tonyan could get there. Is he going to score 11 touchdowns again? I don't know about that, but I think there's room for him to grow as far as volume goes. And that's why I'd consider putting him in tier 4. Not quite tier 3 because he's not quite the athlete that Fant is, but I think he's probably better than Evan Ingram as far as what I would project. Because Evan Ingram is kind of he's on a slippery slope. He's going down because I don't even know where he's going to be next year. So I don't really want to draft him. But Tonyan tied to Rodgers is a place I want to be. He hasn't used the tight end a lot, but when he does, clearly it's in the end zone.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I said tier 4. Josh, what did you say? Did you say tier 5 with Ingram?
Tier 5.
I put him slightly above. I think this past season makes you talk about like a tier 3 conversation. But what scares me, and maybe this is ignorant or holding out hope for a player that I believed in, is I'm not ready to give up on Sternberger yet there on the Packers. Like those first 2 years were not good, but it takes time for these tight ends to like develop in the NFL. And he was drafted in the 3rd round, which is fairly high for a tight end. Like, let's not act like that's not decent draft capital. I think he could develop a bit this offseason and like steal some of those targets next year. But I think Tonyan's solid tier 4 tight end. John Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I put him in 4 too. I agree with what Jordan said. What I'm thinking though is that Aaron Rodgers had a high touchdown year, and he usually oscillates. He's a high, he's not typically like a running quarterback. So since he has a lot of touchdowns, he ends up like oscillating year to year on how good Aaron Rodgers is. And I think we saw like a lot of that rub off on Robert Tonyan.
Don't say rub off.
Rub off on Robert Tonyan. And so I'm not expecting the same type of production, but I think he's tier 4. I think that's a solid spot for him because he's still attached to Aaron Rodgers. Like like Jordan said.
Well, we got him in tier 4. Guys, I want to keep talking tight ends, but we got to move on to the Pixar one. We will finish this tight end tier list next week. We'll do tight ends part 2. I have a feeling some of our tier lists have looked real top heavy. I have a feeling this one's going to look real bottom heavy. We're going to have some small tiers up top and then tiers like 7 and 8.
Front yard fantasy, bottom heavy.
Front yard fantasy. We are a bottom heavy podcast.
We try our best.
Let me pull up the Pixar movies tier list. I just want to warn you guys ahead of time.
Are we a podcast or a live stream?
We're a live stream. Did I say podcast?
Are we a movie? You said podcast.
We're a TV show.
We are living a movie, though.
We are living a movie.
That's what this is.
Yep. Cohen
Live your best life, boys.
This is all a simulation. Oh my God. That reminds me. Yesterday, my girlfriend told me that she always messes up the words simulation and stimulation. And it was really embarrassing.
Oh, that's not good.
They had to she works with hearts and they had to stimulate the heart to get it to beat. But she was telling the doctor to simulate the heart. And she was wildly embarrassed. She's like, I don't know why. I can never get those 2 words right.
Damn.
That's besides the point. We got Pixar movies.
The T and the no T and the same thing.
I think the best way to start with this is everyone goes through and we're going to name our favorite Pixar movie each and we'll decide what tier it goes in as a whole. Jordan, what is your favorite Pixar movie on this list? And then we will either agree with you or rip it to shreds and break your heart.
That's so hard. There's a lot that are just, I would probably say Toy Story. I think I got to give the OG Toy Story some love. Yeah. I think I do.
Mr.
Toy Story.
That'd be my 101.
You'd throw Toy Story in the S tier.
Oh yeah.
Roto Heat Sully saying that is how tight end should be, bottom heavy. I'm guessing is what he's saying. And then Brady's yo, just got done with work. Destination Debbie is my favorite.
Destination Debbie.
I've actually.
Josh is a big fanboy too.
I have checked. I've listened. Many times.
Josh, this is the best behaved you've been.
Some shame.
Yeah, the Patreon is easily the craziest thing. If you guys have never been in it, I mean, join obviously,
of course, yeah.
but
you definitely should.
But it is
Patreon all gas, right?
I can't even. Yeah, patreon.com/all gas.
All gas. Jay says all 4 Toy Stories need to be an S tier. I quit. So I don't quite agree with him, but Jordan, I do agree with you. I think Toy Story 1 belongs in S tier, and I think Toy Story 3 belongs in S tier. Those 2 movies, those are the standouts.
Those 2 for me are the 2 that are the best by far.
Josh, JL, what do you guys agree with those 2? Can we go and throw those in there?
Yep. I don't love Woody as a character, but those movies are so good.
I think the reason Toy Story 3 that's why Toy Story 2 is not up there, right? It was all centered around Woody. Jessie,
yeah, don't love her either.
Man, Toy Story 3 was brutal because I feel like it came out what Andy was experiencing was around the time of our lives, maybe a couple years separated from when we left for college and stuff like that. When did Toy Story 3 come out? I can't even remember, but that one hit you in the feels, man.
Yeah, that one was tough.
That movie is really good. Really good.
2010.
So, I guess I'll just say it now since we're on the topic. I think that the second Toy Story is pretty good as well.
I think
I don't even remember the second Toy Story.
It is good. I would just put it in a tier below. That's just where I'm at.
That's
all
fine.
4 Toy Story movies are great. I just don't think all of them are S tier.
All of these movies are going to be either A or S.
No, there's some shit ones in here, or not shit, but shit by Pixar standards. I'm just gonna put it. Are you? Sorry, my mom told me not to say fuck on stream today. She explicitly asked me. I know. Sorry, Mom. But now that you mentioned it, Ratatouille is my favorite Pixar movie. That is an S tier movie for me. Ratatouille is kick ass. Remy's the man. It's incredible.
We are gonna have a lot of S tiers.
JL, what are you saying? You say Ratatouille F?
I say Ratatouille D.
D. Oh, you scumbag.
Damn.
I
John?
don't even really remember. I just know
I like Ratatouille, but it's definitely not it's definitely not my favorite when I'm looking at all of these. It'd probably be more of a B for me.
So we got D, B, S, and Jordan. Where are you going on this?
I put it in B as well. I think as much as I want to put it in A, I think B is where it belongs. I like it though. I like it a lot.
Me too, Jordan. I do. We got to separate these guys somehow, right?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, Roto Heat Sully says Monsters Inc. S tier or I riot. So I said we talk about that one. Jordan, where are you putting Monsters Inc.?
I think I'd put it in the B tier as well. I like Monsters Inc. I don't think it belongs in the A tier though. I think there's a few other movies I like a little bit more.
This might be a hot take. I don't think it's even the best movie in that franchise. I think Monsters University is a better movie than Monsters Inc.
Ooh, no, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. You're reaching a little bit there.
Maybe. But man, do I love Monsters University.
Out of you as a kid.
You said
I think Monsters Inc.'s an A tier, by the way.
I think it's A tier. I think it's
right there.
Okay,
looks like an A.
Looks like I got outvoted.
Get out of here, Simon.
JL, you were bringing up some Nemo right before we interrupted.
Oh yeah, just because his name's Sully.
Oh, yeah.
Roto Heat Sully. Yeah, that just checked out. Sully said, Simon, are you sick again? How come? Because I think Monsters University is better than Monsters Inc. Maybe. Maybe. Jay, man, we're gonna have to sit down and everyone have like a
Jay,
watch
come
Ratatouille.
On. Not
I feel
average.
I feel like you guys are underrating Ratatouille.
C for the rat.
It's a movie about two things I don't care for: French people and rats. Neither of which are interesting.
Oh God.
Don't come at me.
You Baltimore people got some like rat hatred though in Baltimore.
God. Yeah, fuck rats, but
we have every right to.
Finding Nemo. Where are we throwing? JL, you said S for Finding Nemo.
Yeah, and Dory.
Both of them.
Franchise, yeah.
Jordan, what about you?
I put Nemo in S, but I'd put Dory in A.
How dare you?
They're both really good movies, though.
Yeah, Joshua.
I'll throw these both like an A. Yeah, A. Both.
Yeah, I think I put both of them in A as well. Like they're good, but I have never gone back and like rewatched them. Know what I mean?
You're missing out.
Whereas like some of these other ones I've gone back and watched many times. Maybe I'll have like a Pixar binge after this. Now the Masters is on. After they're done for the day, then I'll start watching some of these. So it sounds like it's like an agreement that these go in A though. JL, I'm sorry, you said S. But Jordan actually said S for Nemo. So we had two S's for Nemo, right? So we can throw Nemo up there since it was two S's and Dory in A.
And Matt's coming in with Nemo and S. So I don't know. A couple other people say S, then I'm with it.
Nemo S, Dory C. Jason, Jordan is correct with Nemo and Dory. Maybe B for Dory. Josh, is there a movie on here? Is there a movie on here that we haven't talked about yet?
There actually is. I recently saw it, and it's like just a fantastic movie, just period. And a lot of these movies are, but Soul.
Soul, damn it.
Soul. S for Soul.
S for Soul.
I talked about it in a previous thing too, I think a little bit, but yeah, you guys can put it in a lower tier, and I'm not gonna like fight you with it because again, I only saw it once, and I recently saw it. It's a pretty new movie, but it is awesome.
I liked it. I felt like when it was starting out, I'm like, oh, this is about to be my favorite movie of all time. And then like halfway through, I was like, it's not.
Yeah, I got you there. Yeah,
but I need to go rewatch it because I think I was only half paying attention. So
the little blue guys are hilarious. I just love them so much. I wanted the whole movie to be in that world was my only problem with it. Like I loved them so much that I got disappointed when they left and went to the human world.
I love any of these movies that tackle like these like crazy philosophical or like existential ideas.
Me too. Inside Out.
Inside Out was going to be the next one I brought up because that's another one where it's just like, damn, they like illustrated this concept so like creatively.
So out of all these movies, my two like favorite, just because of what you just said, JL, are Inside Out and Soul.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with both of those being top.
I'd put Soul in A.
JL,
Jordan A. JL, what about you?
Yeah,
A. Okay. It's A.
We gotta earn that S. Need some time.
I agree. We gotta see through some of these guys. We got 8 minutes to tier the rest of these. We talked about Inside Out. Inside Out's an S tier one for me. That movie's so good and it stands up. Josh?
Yeah. Same.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'd probably put that one in A as well.
Yeah, well, you got outvoted. Sorry.
I know.
Monsters University. I already said I like it better than Monsters Inc. So I would put it in A tier with Monsters Inc. right there. What about you guys?
I think A is probably where it belongs.
Wow. I honestly would probably put it in C or D. I don't think it's like that great. I think it's good, but I think C or D is where I'd put it.
C.
So we got two C's, two A's. We'll throw it in B, right in the middle. Lands in B. No one's happy. Up.
No.
I think Up made me cry, and so that alone gets it in A.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh no, I'd put Up in the S tier.
Up in the S.
It gets you in the feels, man.
S too, yeah.
It gets you in the feels.
And Josh, where are you going with it?
I brought you this ball because I love you.
It's honestly a B for me. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
So
it looks like he's going to end up in at least A.
Well, I think we had 2 S's, an A and a B. So majority has S, I guess. We'll throw it in S. The rules are a little loose here. Cars 2, I'm going to put that in F. I don't care about Cars 2.
Skyfish says we got good freaking dinosaur, but not Brave. Brave's right here, bro.
Brave's in the list, dude.
We're about to get there.
Come on.
It's a good dinosaur.
I put Cars 2 in F. Where are you guys putting Cars 2?
Yeah, it's not very good. I'd probably give it a D. F is more than appropriate.
F.
Then you know what? You guys want to go ahead and just throw Cars 3 down there in F as well? Just get this out of the way. Or
I don't remember either.
I've never seen Cars 3, but yeah. I mean,
Jordan, do you have a
Cars 2
opinion?
ruined it for me.
I like Cars 1 a lot. I'd probably give Cars 1 a B. Maybe an A, probably a B.
I'd probably put it more on
like
like
the other
B
ones
for
suck.
myself. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Jordan. Exactly what he said.
I'd put Cars in B as well. JL, you cool with Cars in B?
Yeah, that's fine. I probably have it in C, but I think B is fine.
The Incredibles. We've got The Incredibles 1 and 2 right here. So, but just before we even rank either of them, how do you guys rank these? Which one's the better movie? 1 or 2?
2, 100%. 2 is such a good movie.
I like 1 better.
I think I like 1 better
as well.
I'm an OG. Yeah. I'm an OG fan for a lot of movies.
Yeah. That's fair.
So they're both good.
I would put probably S and A, 2 and 1.
I'd put S and A 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think I'd do the same.
Josh?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I was just like,
yes,
yeah, whatever you say.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
We've got Scott Fish's favorite movie up next. Scott Fish loves The Good Dinosaur, he said. Everyone send him Good Dinosaur gifts, merchandise. He loves it. Do not send him anything Brave related. He hates that movie. Just lots of Good Dinosaur.
He does love it when you tweet at him Good Dinosaur gifs. He's told me that.
The Good Dinosaur was fine. Like,
that was fine.
I honestly don't think I've ever seen it. I honestly don't think I've ever seen it. So I would have to just give it an F because it's not even on my radar.
Yeah, I get that. There's no need to see it.
I've seen it. I didn't think it was that good. I think it's D.
I say D as well. Like, it was fine. There was nothing disagreeable about it, but it was fine. Josh, what about you? Where are you putting it?
In C. Let's put it in D though. D for Dinosaur, yo.
Okay.
Let's go.
Good D.
Incredibles 1 is S tier, 100%. Completely agree with you there. And Jay said both S. I'm guessing we're both Incredibles. Okay, A Bug's Life. This one, this is so much nostalgia for me. Like, I feel like this was one of my favorite movies ever. This is an S tier movie for me. Bug's Life, and I rewatched it.
We're going all the way to S tier.
It's so funny.
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Exactly. Like, it holds up. If you haven't, the animation's a little iffy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you could tell.
You guys remember Ants? Did you guys ever see Ants?
I almost brought up Ants, but it's not Pixar, obviously.
Not right.
Ants is better. Might be better.
Yeah,
that is blasphemous. Bug's Life is way better than Ants, but Bug's Life is an S tier for me. Jordan, where are you putting Bug's Life?
I'd probably give it an A, but S is fine. It's a good movie.
I'm going with A too, Jordan.
I haven't watched it in a while.
We got 2 A's and S.
I had we were just talking about this. There's some Twitter conversation. I think like Robbie from Run Boys and I were talking about. I had the VHS set of Bug's Life with like the plastic. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Always get the plastic.
We had the Nintendo 64 Bugs Life game that was.
Let's go Swamp.
No way.
Yeah, that was.
Let's go
Swamp. I played that too.
Swamp said Incredibles 2 is overrated and shouldn't be A, and then he also said I like Ants better than Bugs Life.
Let's go.
Go back to work.
And then Matt remembers watching Bugs Life when I was 5. Jay, what's up to you? We've got 2 A's and 1 S. Oh, okay. My heart's broken. Wally, I have a very distinct memory. I was not doing well in college because I hadn't done any work the entire semester. And my friends dragged me to the library to study for finals, right? And all of a sudden they look up at me and I'm bawling sitting at the table. And they're like, "What's up? Why are you crying?" And they came over and looked at my screen and I was watching Wally for the first time instead of studying. And like that memory just like cements Wally. Like that was such an emotional moment for me. Wally's an S tier movie.
Absolutely. Wally has to be S tier. It's probably one of the best by far.
I'd probably put it in A personally.
Ooh.
Josh, 2 S's and an A.
I'd put in A.
Well. How do we break the tie? What are we gonna do here?
I don't know. Audience, we need your help. Come on in.
Wally
We got a Wally B. Yikes,
We'll hold it. We'll see some more.
yikes.
We'll see some more comments from people. Let us know where you would put Wally, and then we'll decide between S and A. Coco is up next. Jordan, what do you think about Coco?
It's hard because I saw it pretty recently. Like I don't remember how new it is, but I'd probably give it a B. I really like the movie. I think the music is really, really good. But I don't know if it's like the best movie ever. I liked it though, but I don't know if I like it as much as some of the other movies we got up here. So I'd probably give it a B.
I think I agree with you. B. That's where I would put it. It was good.
Never seen Coco.
Okay.
It's really good. It is
really good.
I got to get on it. I've got to get on it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Jay says Coco is S, no question.
Whoa.
See, I'm with that because it's just like a really cool vibe. Like the story is really, really interesting. I don't know, but I just don't know if it's Toy Story or like Finding Nemo, but it is really good. I liked it, but I probably, B, maybe an A. But I don't know if it's S tier.
In 10 years, are people still going to be watching Coco? Is my question. I feel like that's the
I
S
think
tier.
so, yeah.
Then maybe it belongs in S.
Disney Plus is like everything from like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's true. Hey, boys, I unfortunately do have to get out of here. I told everyone beforehand. I have a hard stop.
And I promised
today.
I'd get it done, and I didn't. We're so close, though.
It wasn't your fault. I couldn't freaking stop talking myself. But hey, I love all you guys. Trading makes fantasy fun. I got to get out of here. But
Yes, we'll see you tomorrow.
Don't screw this up, guys, because I don't want to be blamed for this.
But we will.
Adios,
All right,
Josh.
All right, Josh.
Oh, wait, I just figured out how to break the Wally tie. Let's revote right now.
Wait a minute.
Jordan, so your vote was S, my vote was S, Dale's vote was A. It's 2-1. Wally's an S tier movie. Coco, you guys convinced me. I was gonna sit with B, but like the more I think about it, Coco was like a really, really good movie. I think I'm just not
at all. It was like really cool. I love.
It hasn't sunk in yet, but it's a really good movie.
I think you're right. I think I just am not giving it like it doesn't have the nostalgia factor that some of these have for me. But I think it's just as good as like would I really put it below Bug's Life? That seems like insanity. So I say,
yeah, no, I definitely don't think I would.
I say A.
It's A. Yeah.
Yeah, give it an A.
You convinced me.
Toy Story 2. This was my least favorite of the Toy Story movies.
This is the Jesse one, right?
Yeah, this is one where Jesse gets introduced and like Woody discovers he's kind of like a celebrity, right? I think that's what this one is, but
I'd give it a B.
D.
I'll go C. I'll go C, and then we split the middle. Looks like it's going to end up in C.
That's not my vibe.
Brave. Brave is A for the accents alone. Like every time I'm watching that movie, I'm just giggling the whole time.
Yeah, I'd give Brave an A. Brave's a good movie.
I'd probably give it a B. Scott Fish just unfollowed me.
Well, maybe that'll get him to follow me. That I put Brave in A. If I put Brave in S, maybe he'll follow me. Onward.
I won't let that happen.
You guys seen Onward?
Yeah, I actually really.
No, I haven't.
Dude,
with Chris Pratt is one of the voices. I don't know who does the other voice, but
I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. Like I turned it on thinking like, this will be kind of silly. Dude, it was another one of those like emotional ones. Like the whole premise is like these kids' dad died and they like are trying to like bring him back to spend a day with him, right? And like so it's like intense and it's so good. I would honestly like A or S for me. Like it's really good.
All like the last like 3 or 4
I'll have to
movies,
watch it. Damn.
I feel like I keep thinking like, oh, it's probably B or C, and then you guys start talking about it, and I start remembering. I'm like, oh my god, that's A. It's A.
Who was it? Matt said I'm struggling not making all of these S or A tiers. Yeah, Pixar puts out some killer movies. That is a tough one. We didn't even have Planes on here. I should have put Planes on.
Oh, Planes.
Jason, Tom Holland is the other voice. So I'm gonna go A with Onward, but it's near the S tier for me. And JL, you said A as well.
A.
Jordan, you said you've never seen it, but
I've never seen it. No,
you got to watch it, man.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it. This is some glowing reviews we got here.
You got your weekends planned now.
We got one more. This is Toy Story 4 we are looking at right now.
Is this the one that what's her name? Ann Perkins wrote? Why is it Rashida Jones?
I don't know. I do know this is probably the funniest of the Toy Story movies.
Oh, for sure.
Like this one is like joke after joke. Like the writing in this one is like a notch above the other ones. I just don't like it quite as much as 1 and 3.
3 is the daycare, right?
3 is the one where he goes off to college and he gives his toys away to the little girl.
It's not the one with the bear in the dump. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Yep.
The garbage, the dump place.
Mr. Hugs a Lot or whatever it is.
Yeah, the pink bear.
Yeah,
that's Toy Story 3.
Jordan, where are you putting Toy Story 4?
I'd probably give it an A. I think I'm good with an A. It's a really good movie, and it's a step up from Toy Story 2 considerably. So that's why I think I'd give it an A, because it's not quite down there with Toy Story 2, but it's close enough to 1 and 3 for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. That's a big A tier, but I can't not put it in A. Jay said Rashida Jones was supposed to write Toy Story 4, but left for creative differences. That's interesting. The thing that's like, it's really funny. Like, it's a funny movie, and Forky is just such a funny character in that movie. And Woody, this is like the first movie where I feel like Woody's like a really likable character. Like, he kind of takes over this like almost like parental role in this movie, like where he's like passing the torch onto the new toys. I like Woody more in Toy Story 4.
Catfish's Planes was Disney Toon Studio.
Thank you, Scott. Sorry, that was really stupid of me. At least 3. Right?
I bet you they have a bunch.
So, JL, we both said A. What are you saying for Toy Story 4?
I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know if I ever saw it, honestly. So I would probably put it in B, because I'm not actually recalling any of the plot. So
this looks a lot.
It's A, it doesn't matter, but I'll go watch it this weekend.
This looks a lot like our wide receiver tier list, like a heavy S and A tier, and then it kind of like trickles down. But I think it's a pretty fair list right here. Man, what this made me realize is Pixar puts out nothing but like solid movies. Like,
all their movies are so good.
Cars 2 and 3.
Even those I bet are fine. We're just comparing them to like Monsters Inc. You know what I mean? Like, that's a tough movie.
You think the people who made those movies are just like, they just get shit on at Pixar headquarters all the time? It's like, shut up, good dinosaur.
I feel like
you made Cars? You're never making another movie ever again.
Putting Cars 2 next to like Wall-E and asking to compare is like throwing me next to Jay Rich and being like, well, what tier would you put Simon in?
Nice pandering. Way to end the show strong.
Stop it.
Hey, I didn't make that tier list. Someone else did. That was, I think, Matt. Who was it? Or no, Craig. Craig threw you in tier 1, me down in tier 3. Roto Heats always says, this might be the best you have all done yet. I usually hate these.
Yeah, we had a lot of agreeing.
And then Scott said, like, the first 15 to 20 movies opened at number 1. Yeah, I believe it. Jordan, I know I promised we'd be done by 4, and I held you a couple minutes extra.
Don't worry about that. I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming on today and helping us with these tight end tiers and the Pixar movie tiers. We really appreciated it. Before we jump, can you let everyone know everywhere where they can find you and the awesome content you're putting out?
First, I would say make sure you guys follow both these guys, and make sure you follow Josh too, because what you guys did, you put on an excellent show. I watch it when I can, when I have some time. But honestly, you guys are dope, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. You can find my work at Destination Devi. I do some of the editing for the YouTube channel. You could definitely go check out the Black Box Show on Destination Devi YouTube channel. If you want like crazy amounts of Devi content, Devi community, patreon.com/all gas. It's the place to be. It's insane. I think it's 650, 700 people deep. So it's a lot. If you have a Devi question, there's not just me, not just Ray. We got injury experts, we got data guys. It's a full-blown service now. It's way bigger than I ever thought it would be, but that's the place I would go. But make sure you turn into the show, because the YouTube show is where you're going to get a lot of your information. The podcast, because Ben EB does a great job at doing a lot of the deep Devi guys, the freshmen, the incoming freshmen. So there's a lot we have there, but definitely, Dynasty Devi, that's where you want to be. And then make sure you follow John, Simon, and Josh, man. It's just the place to be. This is the place to be in your afternoons. It's so fun. I appreciate you guys having me on so much. So thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely go follow Jordan, all their stuff. If you follow Jordan, you get to see all Ray's bloopers, which are fun. Love watching your MLB, MLB promos. Excellent work.
Yeah.
And I said it before at the beginning, but if you're like a up and coming or wanting to start producing content and making better video content, Jordan puts out it's really unique in the fantasy space. The content he's putting out to kind of help you get started with that, with lighting and video creation. It's it's been awesome and unbelievably helpful for JL and I know. So if that's something you're interested in as well, it's not just fantasy content. He's putting out content to help you become a better content creator as well.
Yeah, I feel like not many people take the time to stop and be like, this is what I've learned, and help share that with other people, and that's huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, pointing at all the ideas. Those are all the ideas right there, but I got to make them, and it's been too long since I made a video. But if you're into content creation, you can always DM me, hit me up. I try to do a bit of everything, whether it's audio mixing, actual shooting video myself. Like I taught Ray how to shoot the Black Box Show, and then I had to edit it all together. Like people don't realize it's 2 separate feeds. We're literally just talking on the phone. So bring it all together to look like a show is a bit of a production. But yeah, it's there's a lot to learn, but I definitely have been learning a lot over the past 2 or 3 years. I'm trying to share as much as I can, so all of you guys, can create better content, because I've noticed just kind of a void in the fantasy space that content is good as far as substance, but when you elevate it to be visually appealing, the audio is great. I think John Luke, you and I were the ones talking, and we talked about you getting a Shure mic, and that was one of the reasons why you bought one, right? Which is funny. So now we rock the same mic and everything. Yeah.
I finally, just like after staring at it in my Amazon wish list for so long, I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna do it.
It's still sitting. It's still sitting in my Amazon wish list, just looking at me till my bank account says I can do it. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's awesome that you put that out there. It's super helpful. It's unique in the space. I think like the names that come to mind whenever I think of people helping people like create content and learn are you and Nick Ercolano. Like you guys really stand out in that regard with like being willing to share your experiences and what you've learned to help others. So it's awesome content. Everything he does, from the fantasy stuff to the stuff that's teaching you how to do it. Again, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to have you back on again sometime whenever you're available.
I'm not as busy as people think I am. It's just, I do a lot of random stuff, but I try to do as many guest spots as I can. And definitely, shows like this are always fun to hop on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jay giving you the endorsement, saying Jordan's such a good dude, always willing to help.
Yeah, he recruited me.
Yeah.
He was on the recruiting train. Apparently, I made his watch list, so I was happy to talk to Jay about that and get this set up for sure.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Jordan.
No problem.
Sweet. Anything else, guys, before we jump?
Nope. Josh already said his piece.
Josh said his piece. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have not already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. It helps us a ton, and you can make sure you never miss another one of our live streams. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. JL, who's joining us tomorrow?
Jeff Hasley.
Jeff Hasley will be on here for brackets tomorrow. We'll see if it gets contentious, but maybe there'll be agreement like today, or maybe Jordan just brought the good vibes and we're all in agreement. It was either Jordan or Pixar. I don't know what did it.
Yeah. Bit of both.
I feel like my weekend's ruined. I don't have all the hate from everyone.
Well, there's time. There's still tomorrow. Sully, thank you. Said excellent as always. Thanks, boys. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. See you then, guys.
Bye.